Alright, the next thing we're going to do is try to show you how to replace this drive shaft, or at least remove it to put a new U-joint seal. I already did a video on the wear sleeve. It's not too difficult. You got to pull these plastics. You don't have to pull the top off, just the sides, the seat, pan under the seat, and you got to move the gas tank. When you move the gas tank, remove this plug. There's a wire tie right down in here. You got to cut that, and it'll take all the tension off these hoses and everything. And you should probably drill some drain holes and clean the mud out. These things are notorious for trapping mud. I probably had 3-4 inches over here. There was a pile underneath the drive shaft yoke on the transmission side. I'm sure that's what ended up ruining the U-joint, so I drilled a hole there. I don't really care what anybody says about it. It traps the mud, so I can't imagine the hole's going to do any damage. At least maybe when I'm hosing it out, it'll drain. Did the same thing under the rear differential. That had just as much mud. So I put a hole there, and I'm going to try to put another one where the front yoke goes. And these things just, so much mud, it just won't drain out of them. The drive shaft is over here. Put new U-joints in, they're both Can-Am parts. I had one Can-Am U-joint, and then I had another one from another company. I'm not going to get into bashing any name brands or aftermarket or whatever, but all I can say is the Can-Am U-joints are far superior. I put the Can-Am joint in with no trouble. Typical sticking points for a U-joint, but the other one I put in it didn't fit right. It was too loose. When I grabbed the caps to pull them out with my channel locks, it actually put teeth marks in the caps. You couldn't put a mark in the Can-Am ones. They're just, the steel's that hard. So I know they're a little more money, but spend the 55 or 56 bucks on these U-joints. I get mine from Partzilla. Actually, I think these came from eBay. I got them real cheap from somebody who didn't need them, but Partzilla seems to discount them, get a little bit better of a price. But there's a ton of places to get Can-Am parts, or just go to your local dealer. But anyway, the other video I put the wear sleeve on. I've got new U-joints. I know there's issues with trying to grease these, so I tried to angle the Zerk fittings in a way that I might be able to get to them. The only other idea I had was put straight Zerks on them with one of those angle ends on my grease gun. But I'll be honest with you, the thing doesn't work that well, so I think I'm just going to leave them like this. And I got some advice that maybe grinding the tip for the grease gun down might make it work. But that's where I'm at. Again, the installation here is removing, it's just the reversal. There's bolts that hold the yoke on right here. The one on the differential had Loctite on it. It still came out fairly easy. I bought new bolts for it. They're in this parts box somewhere. I basically tore this whole cylinder apart and started fixing everything that was wrong with it. So I got a new washer. Somewhere in here's a new bolt. But anyway, the bolts go in right there and then thread into the spline on the, well, this will be the differential side. And the exact same thing here, they thread into the output shaft on the transmission. The only way to get them out, other than very slowly with just a box wrench, is to use these with the ratchet end. And these work great. The only problem is mine aren't reversible. So you got to watch when you're taking them out. If you come out too far, you won't be able to get your wrench back out of there. And it's really, really hard then to take the bolt and everything out. So you come out to the point where either you have to use the other end of the wrench, which still saves you a ton of time, or you could turn them out with your fingers. Now, the problem I had, what made me start this project, was my yoke wore out. The bolt loosened up on the transmission side, the yoke started to slide off, and the hardened shaft on the transmission is fine, but this is cast iron, and it wore out the teeth, or the splines rather, and this was wobbling on my output shaft, and then the U-joint went. It's a common problem. It happened to my front end when I just bought the thing. It's still under warranty now, but I'll be honest with you, taking it up to the Can-Am dealer and having it fixed, I can't stand having the thing sit there for a month and a half while they wait to work on it. So for the money it costs, I just fix it myself. But I got the yoke, it was cheap, it was only 25 bucks. These two yokes are the same. The only difference is the wear sleeve on the differential. If you buy the yoke for the rear differential, you have to buy the wear sleeve. It doesn't come with it. And again, use the Can-Am U-joints. So then just slides on, you put the bolt in. I'm going to put Loctite on the transmission side this time. It didn't have it from the factory. The transmission side didn't have it. The differential side did. So I'm going to stop here. I'm only doing this with my iPhone, so bear with me. I'm helping someone out. I just seem to have a hard time finding Can-Am videos anywhere or how to fix these things, which amazes me because around here they always seem to be broke. So I'm going to stop here, and I'll do my best to edit in the next part. My daughter and I are going to put this together. There's a part number for the U-joint. I have an extra one. The Can-Am part. I can't stress it enough. Just use the Can-Am U-joints. Here's the bolt. This is new. I threw the bag out, or I can't find it anyway, but it's a new Can-Am part. It's the bolt that goes to the transmission output shaft, or the gearbox output shaft, as Can-Am calls it. And this is the one on the differential side. And I didn't even realize till now that the differential bolt is smaller diameter. And this had Loctite on it, whatever strength it is that Can-Am uses. It's yellow. I think it's a high strength, I'm not sure. But again, I'm going to put Loctite on both. Here's the washer that came off of the gearbox side, the output shaft. And it's combed out. I don't know if you can see it in the video. I guess you can. That's not supposed to look like that. Alright, here's the new one from Can-Am. There's the part number for the washer anyway. 250200102. And shortly I'm going to put this all back on there. Just want to point out another thing I did here. It's not necessary to take this crossbar for the differential off. This right here, pretty easy. 2 bolts here, 2 bolts here, but it gives you a lot more room moving the differential around to get all the mud and dirt, if you ride in the environment I do, out from under the differential and clean it out. Again, I'm going to put another drain hole there. Just I want to point out, watch your CV boots on the edge here. I almost cost myself one, but it didn't hurt it. But just to change the drive shaft, taking this out isn't necessary. Taking this off, the differential will sit in there. When you take the bolts out for the differential, 2 on top, 2 on the bottom, here and here, it'll slide back far enough to get the drive shaft off, and then of course when you put it in, you can slide it forward. But I'll actually show a video of that. And this was just for the vent tube. So, all right, I'm going to put this on in a minute here. I ran to Tractor Supply. I got the medium strength Permatex thread locker, the blue colored one. Supposedly that's similar to the yellow Loctite or thread locker that Can-Am uses. So what I found out from Can-Am is the yellow thread locker is actually reusable. I guess if you bought the rear differential bolt, it would already have it on there. I don't have much faith in it. I just want to point something out quick. Eventually I'll do a video on this. You've got 4 bolts on your rear suspension. I guess this sway bar, I'm not sure the exact name that Can-Am uses. You got 4 on each side. I'm missing 1. What you do, if you heat them up, you'll see that yellow thread locker come out. Take those bolts out and put heavier Loctite on and put them back in. The one that broke him, he was already had a halfway crack through it and it snapped off. And Can-Am actually sells a updated bolt for this. It's bigger, it's stronger, it'll fit in your threads, but it's a grade 8 or whatever the metric equivalent of that is. How I found out is I've seen these where all 8 of these bolts were missing or broken loose, or broken off rather, and somebody pointed out to me, and I only found one that was out, and that's the one that had a break, and the rest of them I heated them. The Loctite, they came out fairly easy, and I never replaced that one. It's been like this for 2 years. So I'm not going to rely on that yellow stuff. I'm sure people have different opinions, but that's what I'm going to do. Another thing I want to point out, I'll grab a flashlight. When you put this prop shaft on, the transmission or the gearbox is a sealed unit. So that machine surface right there doesn't ride on a seal. The output shaft is sealed to the gearbox. You can't really see it. I guess you could right there. So don't try jamming it in there. It just slides on real easy. It's going to stop right there. Then you can put your bolt in. So there's no point in greasing that or anything like anything else. The differential's a different story. That slides in. Hence the wear sleeve that I replaced. So let me get some bolts into this. Found out here, when you're putting that bolt in, definitely put the gearbox side on first. You push the drive shaft, you put it on like that and push it all the way over towards the driver's side. You have a lot more room to get your fingers in there to start that bolt. Took me a minute to figure that out. The thing left to do on here is tighten these down. I have the prop shaft on, or drive shaft, and actually I already kind of tightened them, but so I was talking about before, if you're backing these out with one of these wrenches, which is really the only way to do it without really taking a lot of time, flipping one of these over on this end. If you got these, they work pretty good, but the reversal is much better. So if you're backing it out, you'll be ratcheting away. You'll come out to here, and there's still too much bolt left. You won't be able to get the wrench back out, and you won't be able to tighten it back in because, again, it's not reversible. So you basically just run them down and going the right way here. That's it. I'm going to snug them down with this. Use a little bit bigger of a box wrench to tighten them down. The rear differential goes on exactly the same way. They're a 13 millimeter. And that's about it. If you've ever changed your oil on these, you're basically taking the same panels off, except for you may not have to take the top one off, but you get a little more light in there if you do. And that's pretty much it. It's kind of simple, other than changing the U-joints. They were difficult to get out. I just basically had to destroy the caps to get them apart. They just don't come apart the way they should. But that's pretty much it. I'll make some more videos here, and there's a lot of work to do on this thing, or like I said, there's always something sitting in here getting work done. So I hope so help somebody out, and thanks for watching.